What's up, dudes and dudettes in the internet? My name's Scythe. How you doing? Hope you're doing fantastic and wonderful. Hope this video makes your day even better because today we are starting the Astroneer Let's Play series, everybody. I'm actually very excited about this. I have an insanely busy schedule right now, but I love this game, you know, like I've been having an absolute blast with it, ended up going off world and everything like that, and I wanted to kind of share that experience with all of you from the beginning to the end, you know, because I've played quite a bit of the game itself. I'll put a link in the description so you can check out my first look video where I kind of explain a little bit of how the game mechanics end up working and stuff like that, which of course I'm going to explain as we end up coming across them in the Let's Play series, but now I can do it in a more linear fashion rather than explaining every single aspect about like where the game ends up going and everything like that. But before we get started, we very much appreciate if you would hit that like button, folks. Very much appreciated. Helps me out more than you know. Looks like we actually generated with a nice spaceship over there. Maybe we can get some supplies. I see another spaceship way over in the distance, and as well as some compound. I think that's compound anyway, so that's going to be definitely a good resource for us. We got lots of compound around. Is this resin? What is this? I've never actually seen this before. Oh, hydrazine. Oh, so that's actually fuel. Wow, we got lots of compound nearby. We even got a cave generated over there. That's fantastic. Wowie zowie. So the way that this game ends up working, folks, is it's kind of like, I guess I would say it's like a survival space game where, you know, the overall goal, of course, is to obviously try and survive, but at the same time, it's more about like resource gathering and crafting and stuff like that. So it can be a very slow pace, you know, like that's the thing. So I'm going to kind of take that take that seriously, I guess I would say, where we're just, you know, it's gonna be like that. Probably gonna end up making lots of cuts for some of the things that are a little bit more monotonous, like even right here while we're waiting for fuel and stuff. And once we get a little bit further in the series, I might just grind out most of the resources on my own time. Looks like we actually did get a cave generated right here in front of us as well. Man alive, this generation was fantastic for the series. Awesome. Oh my goodness, we're already running low on oxygen. Like seriously, game, leave me alone. We gotta get ourselves some tethers post-haste. That is definitely the big thing we need. Solar power as well. Then we're actually gonna have a little bit more to do with our power generation. Again, if you want like the big bulk of how the game ends up working, I'm going to end up explaining that in that first look video, so link will be in the description for that. But otherwise, for the most part, folks, you know, we just created the solar power, which means that we're going to end up generating more power while the sun is up, right? And the tethers we actually use and place down to kind of let us venture out a lot further because as you see the tether of ours attached to the main one, we're actually gaining oxygen while we're attached to it. Not to mention it's giving us light and also doing a good job kind of showing us like where we actually are and stuff like that. Whoops, I didn't mean to point out where we were going. I wanted to put that down. And then, well, I guess we can actually go off in that other direction rather than over here because that's what we kind of need, right? And we should try and probably get our hands on a wind turbine if we can today, just because I'm noticing there's a lot of wind going on in this area. Would definitely end up helping us out. Batteries are another big thing that I really want, but we're gonna need lithium for that, and that's probably gonna take us a little while to find. I should probably go and explore that crashed ship, huh? We should definitely end up doing that today. Ooh, power! Power! Give it to me. Give me all the power. That way we can end up... so the yellow resource is going to end up being power. That blue over there is oxygen. It's kind of like a resource that you can actually pick up. So as we end up getting the power resource, right now our battery is going to end up staying full because we're actually using the power resource instead, right? I also got to try and, because I'm noticing that we're actually full on our resources here, let's try and see if we can use all of these tethers, get them out of our inventory. We also got some resin over here, which is something that we desperately are going to need, even more so than all of the compound for sure. That's one thing too that I'm going to have to try and get the hang of as well, is there is only one save file with this game, which is a little bit disappointing, honestly, to say, just because of the way, you know, the way your file can end up corrupting and stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna leave this over here. And whoopsie daisy, we're gonna grab this extra resin, please, and put it on the side cart right there. And then there's the extra compound, which we're going to carry on our person so that we can actually bring all these resources all the way back, which is, I mean, we're actually killing it as far as time is concerned here, folks. Normally, it's a very slow start. The amount of resources that we actually got generated next to our base is insane, like, seriously. So let's expand this out, plop down some resin. And probably going to put most of our buildings over in a single direction. So I'm going to try and do that right here. Ooh, we need some more resin, don't we? Yeah, we definitely do. We can't actually construct that base right there. So we can definitely grab this and then head right back out there to get the resin. We're not going to need the fuel resource for a very long time. You only ever end up actually using that when we construct ourselves a rocket, which is to use to go off-world and stuff. But honestly speaking, folks, we're going to take a very slow approach and probably try and explore this world as much as we can. What the? Did we end up getting the full resource again? There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Oh, there's an extra one as well. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to leave some of the compound behind because this resin is going to be a little bit more important for us right now. Compound is definitely one of the most useful resources in the game for sure. But at the start of the game, we need all the resin we can get so that we can actually make all of our structures and stuff. By the way, another thing as well that I do want to mention to people that actually are playing this game is there is a hotfix on the way to fix the tether glitch. There's kind of a thing going on with the game, folks, where when you put down too many tethers and you're attached to them, eventually the game starts chugging as far as the frame rate is concerned. Chugging meaning like it's very, very low and slow, right? So, yeah, hopefully that patch ends up going live soon because I don't want to use any beta patches while we're doing the Let's Play series, right? So we can't make a printer, never mind, rip me, because that takes copper. The research station just takes compound. That's probably what we're going to want to go for. The smelter is going to be the most important, though, definitely, because we're going to, like, with all the caves that we ended up getting generated next door to us, we're going to desperately need to get as much ore as we can, right? Titanium for a tank, copper for a generator. We could set up a beacon, which we don't really need to use those just yet. Beacons are pretty much just markers that we can set up like a waypoint, right? And we're only going to need that once we end up exploring a lot more of the planet. Now, we could end up constructing another solar panel, which would be useful in some regard, not necessarily for when we're going caving and stuff like that, but more so when we're on the surface. So I'm actually going to do that right now because we do actually have a lot of compound anyways. So we're going to be doing just fine with that. Then there is also, yeah, I wanted to go and explore the ship that's over here. So let's set up some tethers in this direction. I do find it strange though that the developers didn't seem to take into account, like, they were surprised at the amount of tethers that people were using when it's like, dude, you need to use the tethers in order to survive. So this is really cool, folks. So we actually have to construct ourselves a research station in order to actually research that. Let's call it a loot crate. And inside it potentially can end up being either some really good resources or just a blueprint that we would end up using, right? Oh my, is this actually, what is this? Is this actually something that we can we get any items off of this? Or maybe there could normally be an item generated off of that. Maybe, not exactly sure on that. Once you end up seeing the wings or parts of the pods and stuff like that just fall into the ground, it means, of course, that you're not gonna, there's nothing really important on it. Usually, though, like if we find like a bigger ship or something like that, eventually there's gonna be supplies inside it, which we could end up getting lucky and finding like batteries and stuff like that. Oh, perfect. Just as we're gonna start running low on power, we're actually getting solar power right now. Oh, nice. Okay, well, so hopefully we can get another piece of full resin here. There we go. And I actually want to bring this case back to base. Instead, thankfully, it's all very close by because otherwise, very, very soon in the game, like really, really early on, you end up going out and adventuring very far out, right? And because of it, okay, we gotta be careful with this. Because of it, you need the vehicle right away. Like seriously, that's pretty much our top priority as far as the biggest build we're going for. Now, you gotta be careful with how you construct all these bases and stuff like that because potentially we could have constructed this next build inside the other one. Also, if our character is standing inside it, you can get stuck underground and stuff like that. So you really gotta be careful where you end up constructing all of these things, right? So we are definitely going to be able to grab this. Let's actually grab some extra solar power too, so that we can charge this station by throwing it on the front here and getting a battery up. And you know what? While we're at it, we're not using our power. So let's just throw our extra solar plates on there. And, well, we probably could actually go out and grab ourselves some more compound just so that we can have even more solar power. That actually wouldn't be bad, but that's okay. Hey, why didn't you get on my backpack? There you go. And I want to see also, because usually these plants right here will actually generate, yeah, there's another thing that we can end up researching. Good, goody goody gumdrops, which this one is most likely going to end up being a resource rather than a blueprint. Whereas this one right here, probably a blueprint? Yes! Okay, what did we end up getting? The items that you actually get out of here are completely random. So, we got fuel condenser. Okay, is that the item that I think it is? Is the fuel condenser on our person? Ooh, no it isn't. Okay, so the fuel condenser, I think quite literally just makes it so that we can end up, like, condensing our fuel, right? So that would be... Oh no, maybe the fuel condenser is for constructing fuel. Not exactly sure. We'll have to construct that in another episode though. We're not gonna have time. But we did get the blueprints for the truck. Bowser, nice. So the truck is actually an amazing piece of hardware. I've never ended up playing with it, but I just know that it's good. Because normally the vehicle that you start with by default is the rover. And that one's actually really, really cool, but not very efficient. The truck, from what I hear, ends up having lots of extra space, because that ends up becoming like a very pivotal role with this game is space management. Even though we're in outer space, get it? It's kind of a pun, but not really. So I want to grab as much of this compound as we can. Man, I can't even believe how lucky we got with this generation here, folks. Like, seriously, this is a really good find, because otherwise, normally, these resources, while around home base, I've never actually generated a world that had this many of a given resource around us. So, what we're going to try and do here, I want to build out in this direction, because otherwise we've got that direction kind of taken up. I want to see if we can get something like this. You gotta, again, you gotta be very, very careful with the build placement, because not only can you end up constructing these builds on top of each other, the other big thing that you can run into as well. Oh, we're taking energy from the tethers, that's why. So when you see the yellow coming from the tether, that's actually us taking power, as well as blue being the oxygen, right? But yeah, needless to say, you can actually have it so that you will, let's say that we're trying to construct a vehicle, right? And it will actually have that vehicle, even more resin out here, good, man alive. You'll actually be able to construct the vehicle inside another build. So you gotta be very, very careful with the placements. You know, most often, like, I've gotten very lucky, because I would construct like a rover and it generates inside one of the other builds, but it was fine because it kind of ended up like eventually the vehicle ended up ragdolling out. So at least I was able to salvage it that way and then actually use the rover and stuff like that. But it did definitely make driving around the base a lot more hectic, just because... Yeah, because there was so much space management around the base, right? So going into it, I'm really happy that now I kind of have a bit more of an understanding as to how this game ends up operating. I made sure to do that off camera, like while I was just kind of playing this game on my own time before we ended up starting the series. Yeah, so the fuel condenser is actually for making fuel for our rocket. So we don't need that for a very, very long time. The smelter, we already got a smelter, right? Yeah, so we got a smelter, a research station. We can't build a vehicle bay until we have aluminum, but we can set up like the printer. So that's 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna set up, I'm gonna get these ready. I'm gonna get the vehicle bay here, and then I'm going to craft a fuel station or not craft it, but at least get it ready, like the fuel condenser right here. This way we can get them all set up beside each other, right? And then always leave room to expand, because we never know what's going to end up happening. What resource are we going to end up coming across a little bit later? Now, we're going to leave all this fuel here, by the way, because we are dealing with a lot of space management right now, and if a storm ends up coming by, we would end up, like, all of that stuff could end up potentially blowing away in the wind, and we don't want that to happen, so we're just going to leave that right there. We're not going to deal with that for quite some time, right? I want to try and get the rest of this compound before we end up going into this cave, hopefully today. But otherwise, like I said, folks, I am honestly surprised just how fast we're actually progressing today. Like, this is insane. Let's get ourselves some more tethers here. Most of all, right now, we gotta try and get as many, like, of the blueprints and stuff like that that we can get. Like, straight up, we need to get as many new crafting materials, like whether it's resources or just like other items and stuff like that. It's too bad the tethers actually sometimes will actually cut through the ground and go to the surface. One thing that they do actually have, I'm pretty sure they actually patched that in, where the tethers didn't normally do it, but if you have a couple tethers that are attached and not exactly like, oh, I want to put that back in our pouch, not exactly attached to your home base, they're actually going to display that they're black, like they're out of power, right? Because otherwise the earlier version of the game, like right off the hop that I ended up playing, didn't actually have that, so there was no indicator whether a tether was actually powered or not. But again, I'm honestly just so surprised how quickly we're going here. Now we're going to run into some hostile mobs here. Are these going to shoot acid at me? Yeah, so these are the really bad ones. These are really bad ones. These are really bad mobs. So we ended up generating lots of resources, but unfortunately the creatures on this planet generated really, really badly. Because what these guys do is they actually shoot gas at us that is pretty much like a homing rocket, you know? And the only way that we can end up actually defeating these guys is by kind of knocking them onto the ground, as we're doing right there, as you see. But this gas is extremely deadly. Like, it seriously is so deadly. These enemies can just wreck our face very, very quickly. But we are at least getting a lot of different research items out of there. You know, there's this other plant right here. I gotta be very careful of that pixelated gas. Otherwise, I don't really want to run into that. Okay, so we got our research node right here. I think these guys are deactivated now that we made them ragdoll out, right? Are they shooting gas at us or anything? Okay, so I think we're good here. I'm gonna end up actually reconstructing and kind of bury these dudes. That's one thing that I'm not exactly sure if that ends up happening in this game. I haven't been able to test that much out just yet. But whether or not, like, will those enemies end up actually being able to shoot us from underground? You know what I mean? I'm not exactly sure on that one. Now, the other thing, too, that I can end up doing, I'll mostly do a lot of that stuff off camera, but we could end up just building a straight tunnel out to our home base. So, yeah, let's actually keep our direction set for our home base, which is actually just over there. Perfect, actually. And then just to kind of make things a little bit easier, let's terraform a little bit, dig our way a nice pathway just straight out of the pit, which means we can also end up potentially using it a little bit later if we end up ever running in, end up getting our rover and stuff like that, you know? But otherwise, let's set up some tethers here. The other thing, too, you gotta be very careful about, at least a little bit later anyways, especially when you have a vehicle, is you can actually run over the tethers. So one thing that's actually really handy is you can actually put the tethers, I'm going to set this up right now, but you can set them up on walls and stuff like that so they're kind of out of the way, which I would definitely recommend doing. This is one case where these attaching is going to actually be a good thing. And if we ended up mining where the tether is right now, it's not actually going to end up ragdolling back down. It's going to end up just staying where it is. So let's do this, and then we can actually set these up for research. Now, a little bit later, we might end up wanting to set up a couple research stations so that we can research a couple things at once rather than just all doing them one at a time. So we ended up getting some blueprints here, very lucky. trade platform. That I honestly have no idea what that is. I never ended up messing with that one on my other alternate file. I did get the blueprint for it. I'm assuming that we trade a resource for another one. Maybe, not exactly sure. But just to end today's episode, because we are definitely on time here, I'm probably going to try to keep these videos close to like 15 to 20 minutes. Oh, we got some lithium. Nice. So with that, we can end up making a battery, but we'll do that tomorrow. In the next episode. Not exactly sure how often the series is going to be because I still have my other priorities, folks. So I'm just saying this is kind of going to be a fun series on the side that we'll all get to mess with together. But I do want to just research this last thing in today's episode, see what we can end up getting. Are we going to end up gaining our resource? Or are we going to get blueprints? Oh, we got our lithium. So that's actually going to be really, really good for us because we're going to be able to construct some batteries and stuff, but we'll do that in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily content. Sign on and stay epic, everybody.